All right, let's go to Friday. Louisville, NC State. We've got Louisville rather, 3.5-point road favorites, 54.5, 55 being the total in this game. I hate to be Mr. Road favorite again, but if I'm playing this game, Connor, I'm looking at Louisville. I was very disappointed with NC State, and maybe it was a one-year wonder, Brennan Armstrong, because there's not really much I saw last week against let me just make sure I overstate this because you have to. It was a bad Virginia defense last week, and this NC State offense still was scuffling the whole game. Everything they got, it was a battle. It was a struggle for NC State to get first downs, to eventually get the points they got. And that was against a Virginia defense that has been absolutely brutal so far this season. So, I don't like what I'm seeing. And as far as the NC State defense is concerned, I know Notre Dame's got a very good offense, and they got shredded in that game. But I still think that defense isn't as good. And in Virginia and Calandria, when they needed a stop in that game, they had still allowed Virginia, to move that ball and tie the game. Now, I know NC State still prevailed 24-21 just because of a great kick return that put them in position to win the game before it got to overtime with that game-winning field goal. And then what a crazy finish it was. They looked like they were going to have to kick the field goal from the, like a long one from 5+ yards out. Then there's one of those leverage penalties against Virginia or piling on. And then the 15-yard penalty, it gets moved up and they get to re-kick it. And then obviously it's a much easier kick in NC State wins. You talk about another brutal way to lose for Virginia. And they suffered through it again last week against NC State. But I just think Louisville might just be the better of these two teams. What's Louisville done wrong so far this year? They beat Georgia Tech. They beat Indiana. They crushed Boston College. That offense and Jeff Brom everywhere he goes. Doesn't matter. Western Kentucky, Purdue, now at Louisville. Doesn't matter. He's got great offenses, great quarterback play. And we're seeing that again from Jack Plummer. He's got great scheming. It's not just the quarterback play and the personnel on the field. They just have a good game plan every week on the offensive side of the football with Jeff Brom at the controls as head coach. And we're seeing it again from this Louisville team. Very dynamic offensive football team. What I like from Louisville here too is they're running the ball very well. 6 yards per carry this season for the Cardinals. 237.2 rushing yards per game, both top 10 in college football. That rushing attack has been absolutely terrific here so far. And it's been a balanced offense too. I mean, they're running the ball every bit as much, if not more, as throwing it. And that's really a good thing to see. And if you look at NC State going into this matchup here, their run defense has been solid. Their pass defense so far this year, again, they've been giving up yards through the air. I don't think they're nearly as good on that side of the football. So, 3.5 the number here. We know it's a Friday night home game at Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh for NC State, but I don't know. When you're barely beating Virginia last week, that tells me you're not really a great team this year, or as good as you've been recently. I think, to me, NC State's a little bit on the downturn, and here's Louisville on the uptick. I think getting Brom in here and replacing Satterfield with Brom has been just a huge breath of fresh air for this Louisville football team. So at this number, it's Louisville or pass for me. Connor, what do you think?
Yeah, it's NC State, the defense. I think they're just not the same. We know they lost some guys, but I still thought they'd be better than this. For Virginia to do what they did, Calandra throw the ball kind of all over him. I think he almost had 300 yards. He was good with Virginia. Yeah, and it was tough. They ended up getting the win anyways, NC State. Louisville just crushed, Boston College. That was just it was 28-0 real quick in that game. NC State has, and also with NC State, you mentioned Armstrong. I think that was a 1-year wonder. It seems like he tries to do too much. We know he's a guy, he can take down and run it. I'm not trying to say he's not great, but there's just a lot of pressure on him, and I don't know if they can get it done. They've just been the shits. You want to take NC State, they are back at home. I would need more than a field goal. Their last 5, their own 5 ATS. And, they even at home is where you want them. They haven't got it done. And Louisville has been great against the number. They're 8-4 the last 12. A team that's always kind of had me a little bit. So I'll stay off. Lean Louisville, but I'm off here.
All right, off this game. And by the way, keep an eye on, and I mentioned how under Jeff Brom. Jeff Brom always wants to be balanced. He does want to run it, although in the past he's definitely thrown the ball a lot. This year he's not throwing it as much. Do you know why? Because you got a Jawar Jordan in your backfield. That's why. 100 rushing yards plus for him in back-to-back games here for Louisville. He's been terrific in the running back spot, so keep an eye on that. He has been a great offensive force here, carrying that rock for Louisville this season.